Rupam Yashoda Viro Lokuladavamanam Paramishtam Matam Tato Dutta Gopya Yudantam Muhulanitra Yugmam Nitantam Karambuddha Yugmena Satam Karanitam Mushashto Kampatire Kampakanta Sitareva Dhamodaram Bhakti Bhadam Radhirananda Kunde Sagoshani Madantam Akyapayantam Radhirananda Kunde Sagoshani Madantam Akyapayantam Sadhishita Agnishu Bhakta Ditatma Punaprimatastam Sadhiti Mande Sadhishita Agnishu Bhakta Ditatma Punaprimatastam Sadhiti Mande Param Deva Moksham Namoksham Vadinimba Natam Neham Varishada Pipa Moksham Namoksham Vadinimba Natam Neham Varishada Pipa Idam Te Purnatma Upadavam Sada me manasi abhirastanti manda. Idam te mukham bhujam atyantanina Vitam mangalaya snigdha rathaschagoda Pushkumritam Bimbarakta Dharambe Manasya Virastam Alam Lakshadamai Pushkumritam Bimbarakta Dharambe Manasya Virastam Alam Lakshadamai Namo Devadamodan Vishnu Kashida Prabodukka Nagadni Namo Devadamodan Vishnu Kashida Prabodukka Nagadni Kripa Drishti Drishtati Dinam Bhatanu Vyasamamagyam Vyakshi Krishna Kripa Drishti Drishtati Dinam Bhatanu Vyasamamagyam Vyakshi Krishna Virat Mojo Bhadamutta Bhajagat Vayamuchito Bhakti Ajo Yomsa Tata Prema Bhaktim Sakame Prayatta Namokse Raho Mesi Damodharena Tata Prema Bhaktim Sakame Prayatta Namokse Raho Mesi Namaste Rame, Suradipti Rame, Tadyodarat, Vishwasadame.
Namaste Rame, Suradipti Rame, Tadyodarat, Vishwasadame.
Namo Radhikaya Jodiyo Priyaya, Namo Lilaya Devaya.
Namo Radhikaya Jodiyo Priyaya, Namo Lilaya Devaya.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Salakaya Chakshurum Militam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Bhajanulambita Bhujo Panagavarato Sankirtanaya Kapitaro Kamalaya Taksho Vishwambaro Dvijavaro Shubhodharma Palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataro Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanando Saharito Mururai Pushpavanto Chitra Sandho Tamono Vandeham Shri Ramakrishna Abhaya Charanasako Sukuro Paramanando Sundaro Subhapriyo He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagarpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vishwadhanu Sute Devi, Pranamami Hari Priye. Shri Gauri Vaishnava Guru Parampara ki jai. Shri Shri Gaurada Madhava ki jai. Bhakta Binda ki jai. Holy Premanande. Evening. So we have 3 verses still of the Dhammadas going to discuss, and I discussed them this weekend, 3 classes. So you have to keep up with me. I'm going to hear those. Any questions tonight?
I still have that one question, but I'll wait because you were going to discuss it.
Yeah, comes in the next verse.
I do have one question regarding, you mentioned in the last, one of the last few classes regarding the story of Ajamil and the strength of the holy name. And I'm wondering if you could clear up, seems to be a common misconception in the devotee world between what's Nam-Bas and what's Nam-Aparad and what's being described there in the 6th canto by Sukadev.
What's being described in the 6th canto is the classical idea of Namavas that has 4 forms of expression. Sanketya Parihasya Va Stovahivanameva. Sanketya Parihasya Stovahivanam. There are 4 types of Namavas, and they basically refer to invoking of the name of God with not with the idea of invoking the name of God in mind. So yes, in an overarching sense, each one is slightly nuanced to use the name for something else, like counting, something like that. And joking, and so forth. And so this Namavas is, well, Avas means like a shadow, so a shadow or a semblance of the name. And it's said that the power of the name, the virtue, the power of the holy name of God is such that even a Namavas has the power to remove the karmic implications of the Jivatma, which means that if you don't have any karma, then you're not bound, because karma is the binding agent to the world. So by Namavas, one can attain liberation. That doesn't mean necessarily that every time anyone says, "Oh, Hare Krishna," there's Hare Krishna, where's your hair? And joking like that, something like that, would be a form of Namavas that he's immediately going to be liberated. But the point is that there are examples of this happening. So the classic example there of the 6th canto of Ajamil, who was a Brahmin and deviated from his prescribed religious duties and social order and became, acted non-Brahminically and impiously, and for quite some time. But he had named his son Narayan, and at the time of his death, he called out the name of Narayan, referring to his son rather than to God, so using a name to refer to something else. The form of Namavas, and then that which gave rise to his invoking the name of his son, the influence of the law, if you will, that governs piety and impiety, Yama, hmm? Agents of Yama, as it's thought, the long arm of the law. So I want to say they came in to arrest him, hmm? And so there is this. The point here is that there, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains, there is a system of punishment and reward built into the universe. Hmm? This is, of course, the story of Ajamil and Bhagavatam is coming right after the end of the fifth canto, which ends with the description of the hellish planets, which is a way of explaining this idea that there is within the reward, there's a form of punishment built into the system. So basically, one is culpable for one's actions in a human form of life. We're not free to do whatever we like without any repercussions. Our perspective, that's why we see the variegatedness in the world, because there are repercussions for one's actions. So it's a big subject, of course, karma. And so that's one extreme that's presented there, that for impiety and different measures, there are different punishments and so on. Then, of course, we come out of that into the sixth canto, and the compassionate heart of Sukadev shines forth as he asks the sage Sukha Muni, how can we be freed from possibility of such? And the sage explains that by Keval Bhakti, Ananya Bhakti, Uttam Bhakti, compare rather than by performing pious activities. That won't be a comprehensive approach to avoiding, because you might perform the pious activities and then you might, the example is an elephant may bathe in the river and then roll in the sand. So such is the nature of the world. So then to go from karma, as it means to avoid such, to gyan, and that is then an analogy given compared to cutting off the bamboo shoots, but the roots may still be there to come up again. So gyan in this context is thought to be a kind of a suppression, if you will, of the mode of passion under the influence of goodness. That's not good enough to make a comprehensive solution to the problem. And so Kechit Kevalaya Bhaktya Vasudeva Parayana Akamu doing Bantikatsne Niyaha Eva Vaskara. But if the sun should come and it can easily dissipate the fog, much more so than if you were trying to build a fire or make a big light, you might burn yourself down in the city as well. Try to do so. So bhakti is like the sun that arises of its own accord, her own accord. You have to just wait for the sun to rise. When it does, you can't make it come earlier. You can't make it set earlier. So if she comes of her own accord into our life through sadhu sangha, and has the power to overwhelm. Krishna would speak of dispel the fog or the darkness of Maya. So then the story of Ajamil is told, which is a story that speaks about the efficacy of the limb of bhakti, known as kirtan, really, or the virtues, let's say, of the holy name, which is very, of course, central to the whole Bhagavatam. So this is another instance in which the central theme of the Bhagavatam is again coming up. Keval Bhakti, Ananya Bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti, Uttam Bhakti, different names for the same idea. And also the efficacy of Nam. It's brought up throughout the canto repeatedly. The canto, the whole Bhagavatam ends with an imploring of the readers to engage in Nam Sankirtan. That's how the Bhagavatam ends. So beginning, middle, and end, Uta Bhakti, and the efficacy of kirtan, as taught and exemplified by the Kali Yuga Avatar, Patita Pavan Gaurari. So, the story of Jamil to just show that the power of the name is such that by Nama Vas it's possible to get liberation. So he chanted calling his son's name. It's calling his son, but his son was named after Narayan. And so when the long arm of the law came to arrest him, and he realized that there were consequences for actions and he was culpable, and so on and so forth. Yeah, he called for help of his son, but he got the help of Vishnu's dutas, or um, messengers. So the Yamadutas, messengers of Yama, Yamaraj, the god of law, who's thought to have what is it, Chitraketu as a data entry guy, who's like keeping track of everybody's thoughts and actions and so forth. And there's a printout. Okay, what the guys gets, something like that. So busy down there. So the Yamadutas came and they met and then the Vishnudutas came and they said, "Who the hell are you? Who the hell are you?" They said, "This guy is supposed to come with us." And then they said, "No, hey, we're the messengers of Dharma." Yamaraj is also Dharmaraj, so we're the messengers of Dharma here. Who are you? And they said, "We don't understand Dharma. This is the Paro-Dharma. This person has chanted the name of God. He is in a different category now." And so there's a beautiful discussion where the Vishnudutas enlighten the Yamadutas about a path, if you will, that transcends the system of rewards and punishment in the world. It transcends the karma. And that, of course, is the path of Buddha Bhakti. And so the implication is that the idea is coming up, standing on that path, then and pursuing one is not subject to the karma. Now you got to stay on the path. If you pull the plug out, and if you put it back in, that's another thing. So anyway, they enlightened the Yamaduta. They hadn't, in the story, they had never encountered this before. So they went back to Yamaraj and said, "Hey, we met the other guys. We never seen them before." And he said, "Oh yeah, that's another thing." That's so. This is the story to make the point, right? That there is that the path advocated in Bhagavatam is a path in itself transcends the system of punishment and reward. It's a path of love of God, and so it's not, implication is all a path that's driven by prospect or fear, prospect of what I might attain materially if I do it, or what might happen to me if I don't. These are basically motives that drive the karma marg. Above that, we have the motivating force of duty. I do it because it's the right thing to do, and out of love. So this means like Vaidhi Bhakti and Raga Bhakti. So what happened, of course, is this conversation took place, as I say, and so the Yamadutas backed off, and this conversation was beheld by a Jamil who was astounded and embarrassed and humbled, and so on and so forth. And rather than dying at that time, which was his destiny, his karma was interrupted, adjusted, tweaked, by the Vishnu Dutas, by the name of Narayan, and And as the story goes, he went to the Haridwar and retired there and chanted the holy name, not as just calling a son, but as a spiritual practice, sadhana, and he went to Vaikuntha. Hmm. So it's a nice story, and it's instructive on a number of different levels. It makes a number of different important points to us. But the point, uh, in reference to your question, is that this is the standard idea of of namabhas, and at the same time, there is mention, and I don't remember, I think from the Vishnu Purana, a verse cited by Rupa Goswami and Bhakti-Rasamrita Sindhu, where he speaks about the idea that the shadow or a boss of the name um, is something like the dawning of the sun in the morning, where there's light but the sun hasn't come up yet. Hmm. And this verse, this idea, is invoked by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Haridas Thakur was invited to an assembly of Brahmins and invited to speak maybe about sadhana and sadhya or something like that. And the people were offering opinions, perhaps. And anyway, he offered the opinion but simply by chanting Namabhas, one can get mukti. And one of the Brahmins present was very offended by that idea. I thought, well, people strive very hard for mukti, and you're saying just by Namabhas you can get away with kind of bogus teaching as this, and criticized him and so forth. And then he got a reaction for his offense to Haridas Thakur, and Haridas Thakur was vindicated in public, and he said, "I'm just saying what the Shastra says," and so forth. Which is, he speaks of how the Gaudiya people they know the Shastra. Haridas was Muslim. He knew the Shastras essentially better than some of the learned Brahmins. So this idea is invoked there as well, and I believe that Bhaktivinoda Thakur was kind of picked up on this, and he developed another idea, which he calls like Shraddhanamabhas. So what he means by that is that when we're chanting, then the chanting will cleanse the heart, and as it does, then the day, again, when the dawn comes before the sun's actually visible, light is visible, and this is a stage. He describes it as a stage to pass through, and then coming to the fully chanting, if you will, something like that, the pure name, the pure conception, and so forth, as if to be basking in the sun itself, something like that. So he has developed this kind of idea. Bhaktivinoda did this in a number of ways, like Rupa Goswami speaks about bhava and bhava abhas, and different types of bhava abhas, or shadows of bhava, in his chapter on bhava in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And so he gives explanations of why, for example, you might find some symptoms of ecstasy in personalists, and this one and that one, and so and what the difference is between what he's talking about and what they're experiencing. It's very insightful kind of dissertation on ecstasy. You won't find such a thing anywhere else. So Bhaktivinoda has kind of taken that concept, and he wrote about Vaishnava Abhas, Bhakti Abhas, and in this case, Shraddhanam Abhas. So he's distinguishing the kinds of namabhas that are mentioned in the Bhagavatam from uh, another idea. He's positing another idea where, with faith, one is chanting, cultivating, but only a semblance of the effect of the name is being experienced, and it's powerful, it's encouraging, and so on and so forth. Just like Bhava Bhas, as explained by Rupa Goswami, is the fortunate thing. Chai Bhava Bhas, not Pratibimba Bhava Bhas. So there's a lot of categories, but to have association of devotees and experience some ecstasy, some semblance of bhava in their company during festivals. He gives this example. Devotees come, they get absorbed, and they experience a semblance of bhava. And this is a great blessing. It was very encouraging. Get some semblance of what the cultivation of bhakti and ecstasy is like, what the goal is like, and so forth. So, um, so he, speaks in this, uses the concept in this way to speak about Shraddha Bhavabhas. So it's his own kind of theological, theologializing theology to it. So he kind of talks about it kind of in a stage like that, like you might chant offensively, committing offenses largely because you don't have sufficient sambandha gyan. Therefore, you don't know that there's a difference between chanting Krishna Nam and chanting Kali Nam, Durga Nam, Ganesh Nam. That's an offense, right? Listed in the Purana. But if you don't have sambandha gyan, you may not know that, or you may think, hey, we want to get a good son. Let's do a Sankirtan yajna, and think that the Sankirtan yajna of the holy name is equal to whatever kind of yajna is given in the Dharma marg for getting a good son. That's another offense. You might think, hey, if we chant, that's good because we'll get a lot of pious credits, and then we can go and sin, we can chant, we can beat the system this way. That's such are the virtues of the name. So these are all examples of offenses that obviously can be overcome if you have the sambandha gyan, the right orientation to Shuddha Bhakti. And so you're going to chant, for attaining prema. This is why you're chanting, the pleasure of Krishna, and you're avoiding offenses and so forth. So without that sambandha gyan, then there's one can be engaged in nam aparad, and obviously the way I'm speaking about it and citing some of the examples of nam aparad, the practitioner is chanting with something in mind, more than, in a sense, in religious context, more than the namabas, which is like, like he named his son Ryan. So he used the name to designate something else, and so forth. So, or ingest and so on. So, so in our lineage, this has been talked about like this at times, and the idea is sometimes given that, well, by nam aparad, you can get pious results. By nam abhas, you could get mukti. By Shuddhanam, you can get prema. Now we, in one sense, are all chanting Shuddhanam because this is our orientation. Our orientation is we are chanting for the pleasure of Radha Krishna. We're practicing Uttam Bhakti. This is the path we're on. So with that orientation, then we're even in the sadhaka stage, in the neophyte stage, Shuddha Bhaktas. You're not realized, not pure, but you're not on Namabas path, or the we're in the Namaparad section, and so on and so forth. So then within that, again, see, he has this idea of this clearing. So it's just a way of talking about it. I mean, the Shikshastakam speaks about cleansing the heart, extinguishing the forest fire of material existence. These are the first stages of the name. It's just like I said the other day, if you hire an interior decorator, they may come and say, okay, first thing we're going to do is going to throw out everything here, throw out the couch, pick up the rug, sweep out everything. And first clean, then decorate, right? So Bhakti first cleanses, and in the context of the cleansing, we get a lot mananda. And as the decorating comes, and Bhakti Ananda, something like that. So, anyway, so Bhakti Vinod Thakur has used the term Namabhas a little bit uniquely, a bit differently than it's been used by the Goswamis, or as it appears in Bhagavatam. But as I say, Rupa Goswami has invoked this verse from the Purana that it's either cited, I believe maybe it's cited also in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Forgive me, I can't remember the verse per se, but it does kind of speak about this idea of Nalabas, like the dawn. So that's how Bhakti Vinod Thakur has talked about it. So that's the story of Namabas in a sense. And what the reason this is stated is not so that we think, oh great, I'll just joke my way into liberation by making jokes using the holy name. But these types of statements are not statements from the scripture that are speaking to us about something that we should do. They're speaking about the power and efficacy, in this case, of the name, in order to motivate us to chant the name with attention, with affection, with the right understanding, and so on. Because, boy, even if by this is possible, it means it has power. And there is an example in the scripture. I mean, it's not going to happen every time necessarily, but if there's one example, then that name has that power to do that. So it's kind of like what to speak of if you chant every day faithfully with your heart and so forth. What will be the results? And of course, the result is praying, which makes mukti, liberation, look insignificant in comparison. So you might think, wow, just Namabhasa, the liberation, big thing, but the bar has been raised. You go to your Vaishnavism as to what's worthy of attaining, such that liberation looks like not only insignificant but undesirable. So if liberation is undesirable, then you want to chant the name, as a matter of spiritual practice and avoiding offenses and so on and so forth. Yes.
Accepting for Bhaktivinoda's unique utilization of the word Abbas in his writing. If you have that much knowledge of the efficacy of the holy name, then it's Namaparad. There's no question of Abbas in the stricter context of the definition of Namabhas. Is that correct?
What's Namaparad?
It would be a Namaparad to think, let me chant to get a specific result. You already, if you have that much knowledge of the holy name, it's not Namaparad, Namabhas,
right.
in the technical definition of Namabhas.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Which can I ask a follow-up?
The technical definition given the Bhagavatam, it's not in the context of any sadhana. That's what I was saying. If you may chant Namaparad, but you may be in some type of religious orientation to it, right? You're thinking, I'm going to chant the holy name, and I'm going to get the result of a horse sacrifice. I don't happen to have a horse with me, so I'll just chant the holy name. That's to think the result is the same is said to be, an offense. So it's interesting the point that you're raising, because in the classical sense, Namabasis is like outside of the realm of a religious kind of consideration that I'm invoking the name um, for some religious attainment, with some religious attainment in mind. It's like I say, somebody jokes and haram, there's a classic story in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. The Muslims said haram as you got gored by a bull or something like that, or a boar. Haram. I don't forget what it means in Parsi or whatever they speak, Arabic or something. Haram is some kind of expression, but haram, and there's the whole thing there. Even if you chant the syllables like ram,
Backwards.
Ramada in, Ramada. There you go. See? That's considered to be, as Chaitanya Charitamrita explains it, an example of Namabas. So, Namabas. So it's So what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is bringing it into the context of religious practice, and that's interesting. Yes.
So my question is, so the Sambandha Gyan part is there with devotees? I mean, there's tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of devotees now chanting the holy name, chanting Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
So many rounds every single day. But here's the story of Ajamil. He does not have Sambandha Gyan.
Yeah.
No, therefore, he's not committing any offense.
Yeah.
Is that one of the reasons? Is that just the power of the name? He's not been blessed with Sambandha Gyan. He has no understanding. Therefore, he's not committing the offense. Any offense? I don't understand that particular concept.
Yeah, he has no offense. There's no offense is another thing. Like we say,
uprod.
Offense. Like we say, we have the sins of the flesh and material desires, and the sins of the soul. To offend the guru, to offend the name, to offend the Vaishnav, to offend the deity, make offense in the seva puja, and so forth. These are, this is another category altogether, and there are gradations there. If you make seva aparad in the puja, you can compensate for that by chanting the name. And so on and so forth. If you make offense with your mind, it can be rectified in the mind with the word by words, by action, and so on and so forth. And it depends, who you offend, a superlative devotee, or a neophyte devotee, or so on and so forth. So, but the realm of offense, that is what really is the greatest impediment to making progress. Now, devotees learn the names, and sometimes they're even asked to recite them, or the teacher gives a lecture, and before blessing the student to chant the holy name. And a lot of them are easy to avoid getting the knowledge. Like, you're not going to think, I'm chanting to here, and the chanting of Krishna Nam is the same as chanting the name of Brahma, or Ganesh, or something like that. So we do Krishna Kirtan. We don't think that, just like we don't think that Krishna and Ganesh are the same, we don't think their names are the same. They're not. So, but some people do, right? And so, then again, there are other offenses that are even more difficult that require more than just knowing them, but you have to consciously act them. So you may know that it's an offense to offend the guru, and still you may ignore the guru's order. You may disregard the guru, and to whatever extent, this becomes an offense. So Guru Aparad was a Namaparad, disregard the guru, to offend the Vaishnav. And I've seen that some people, the other Vaishnavas, they sometimes act maliciously towards other preachers, even. Prabhupada had the experience of that. Some people trying to check, other Vaishnavas trying to check him from example, getting land in Vrindavan or Mayapur and so forth. And so that seems to happen, even though that's the ones probably warned against the most, Vaishnava aparad, to avoid. It happens. So I want to say the Sambandha Gyan helps, and it gives you the opportunity to avoid by the knowledge, but you have to apply the knowledge. And some, with regard to some offenses, it seems harder to apply the knowledge than with others. They're basically offensive as it, to begin with, in general, from a spiritual point of view. So, so that's probably had no offense. So you could say, well, the Namabas had a great effect on, but it's not going to work like that for everybody. The average guy on the street doesn't have, no aparad either. And you may say, hey, Harry, where's your Krishna?
So yeah, is he going back to Godhead like Ajahn?
Like I said, it doesn't happen every time.
But it is possible.
That's the theory. It's not much difference from what Ajamil did.
Right.
He just called the sun. He had that, only that in mind, the fear of the Yamadutas.
But if one is chanting the Nambas, is it automatically mean there's some taste, some ruchi, if you're in that state?
Oh, you mean like Bhaktivinoda's talking about it?
Yeah.
I think
Can
so.
you
The
say
way
that?
Bhaktivinoda's talking about it would appear to be the case. It's sometimes been referred to as a clearing. So, like I said, the dawning of the sun, before you could see the sun, there's light. So illumination, days.
I've heard you say if you're sitting there chanting for 40 years and there's no taste, then you can pretty much say that you're somehow or other you're committing aparad.
Well, maybe there's all kinds of aparad too. It may not be an aparad to nam, even it could be aparad too. Bhakti, seva aparad. Some of the Vaishnava aparad is also a nam aparad, but seva aparad is not a nam aparad, but it's an aparad. So offenses get in the way.
And Prabhupada called that one, was that Vaishnava aparad he called the mad elephant offense? He referred to the elephant.
Yeah, I think that
was Vaishnava
that idea is invoked by Krishna's God, I think. Hatimata.
Elephant's gone crazy.
So if you let an elephant loose in your garden, that's a big problem. But the power of bhakti is such that the result can't be lost. So even aparad, one forgoes the practice in a lifetime, still he'd come back at some point. The effect of the offense will wear off, but the enduring effect of bhakti, that won't wear off, so it'll recede to the background, but again, it will come to the foreground. He'll find his way, she'll find her way into the association of devotees in some lifetime. So we have a long story. Yeah.
So what's the best way to preach to someone because there's so much kirtan going on in the world, but a lot of it's not real bhakti. It's just, like you said, they're chanting the names of Krishna, and then they chant the names of Ganesh, or they chant the names of Durga.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are real attached to that chanting, and they really like it. And so is there a way to preach to them to really, like if they come here and...
The kirtaneers, you mean? Who
Not,
do that?
not even necessarily the kirtaneers, but just someone that might come here that's had some experience in other kirtans.
Well, I think that my explanation is that kirtan is an anga or a limb of the body, the angi of bhakti. Okay, the Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasim, Sakyam, Atmanivedam. This is Srup Siddha Bhakti. These activities have inherent power in themselves, whether you know about it or think about it or believe it or not. Like fire has the power to burn, whether you believe it or not. So They're powerful forms of bhakti. These are powerful angas, limbs of the body of bhakti. The kirtan is one of them, and it's prominent in Kali Yuga. Now, yoga sadhana, Astanga yoga, kirtan is not a limb of that path. Gyan marg, kirtan is not a limb. The karma marg, kirtan is not a limb of that. So kirtan is a limb of bhakti, and bhakti is not for Ganesh, it's not for Shiva, it's not for Durga, it's for Vishnu. We're speaking about Vishnu bhakti, therefore it says Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smananam policy. So Vishnu bhakti, maybe there are other, some idea of devotion or something if you want to use the word loosely, but we're talking about kirtan is a limb of the body of Vishnu bhakti. So kirtan is for Vishnu. And in the context of bhakti, then you find that Krishna, who is the source of Vishnu, in the Gita characterizes his devotees as satatam kirtayantomam. They're always chanting about me. They're always doing kirtan about me. That's what they do. That's one of their primary characteristics. And there are many other statements by Krishna about the efficacy of the name, power of the name. Indeed, Krishna loves his name and is more attracted to his name than he is to his form. His own. We heard the other day, that Krishna was attracted to his own form. Where were we discussing that? Somewhere. Was it in the Dhammarastikam explanations? I think it might have been, right? That even Narayana of Vaikuntha is attracted to the form of Krishna, and Krishna's form is all pervasive. So Krishna himself is attracted to his own name, his own form, right? Vasudeva Krishna in Mathura is attracted to the form of Krishna in Vrindavan. Incredible. So, but the name of Krishna is more attractive to Krishna than his own form. And this is explained in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So he says, I'm not in Vaikuntha, I'm not in the hearts of the yogis, but wherever my devotees are chanting my name, then that's where I reside, and so forth. So that's a whole interesting subject. We'll go into that when we come to the next verse of Dhammarastikam, because the chanting of the name is the way to see the Krishna outside rather than just internally, the antardarshan. So that's coming. But what was the
I'm talking to people,
question?
somebody that comes
Yeah.
here.
So I say, then having said that, kirtan is a limb of Vishnu bhakti, and particularly it is very central to Krishna bhakti. You don't see too much Vishnu kirtan, but Krishna kirtan is very popular, even more than Ram kirtan, Krishna Nam, and it was, of course, popularized by and embodied in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is really, if you want to know about kirtan, this is where to go. I mean, Mahaprabhu was the emperor of kirtan, and teaching about Krishna bhakti and so on and so forth. Now, conversely, we don't find Durga saying, just chant my name and I'll be there. Look over your shoulder and I'll be there. We don't find that. We don't find, that kind of emphasis of Shiva. Just chant my name. They don't ask you to. Maybe there's something in the Shiva Purana, but that's another thing. You can also look at the name of Shiva and Vishnu as one. But Ganesh, this one, that one, Brahma. There's no. The Brahma Purana doesn't say chant my name always. So it's not. but it's, for that matter, it will speak of the different devas, even the different avatars. Like I'm saying, Krishna's emphasizing this, his name. So if you want to look at it, if you know, you say you really like this kirtan, it comes from India, it's a cool thing, and so forth. Well, we have to know a little bit about this. It's like what we do. It's our main thing here, and so, in fact, Mahaprabhu made a whole theology out of the name Nam. You know, the Nam Dharma. So this is what we do is a Nam Dharma. Jive Doi Krishna Nam Sarva Dharma Sar. Be kind to others and invoke the name. It's the essence of all dharma. So this is our thing, our path. So you've come to a place here where we're really into it. And while we accept that there are different names of God and so forth and so on, we also understand there are external, there are, let's say, indirect names of God, and there are direct names of God. Direct names of God have more power. They are filled with all of his Shaktis. The indirect names are not. Paramatma, Brahman. How much Shakti is there compared to Radhanath, Gopal, Krishna? And Mahaprabhu says, Nam Nama Kari Bahudan, Cyber Shakti. He's talking about primary names, not indirect names, secondary names, I should say. And primary names. Secondary names are names of God with regard to God's work, like in this world. Creator, Ishwar, the controller, the Almighty One, you know. And the primary names are names that speak about him in relation to bhakti, in his own world, his own life, right? Driven as it is by bhakti. That's, you know, draws his attention. That's more powerful. So these are the things we know about. When you like kirtan, we share them with you, and this is why we don't chant Ganesh. Why should we chant Ganesh's name? Ganesh doesn't have any power, the Gita says, to do anything unless he's blessed by Krishna. So that's the teaching of the Gita. You like the Gita? This is what the Gita says. You should know that the Devas, their power to bless anybody comes from me. And why is he saying that? Because he's saying, worship me. Because otherwise, Alpa Medasha, you're not very bright, he says. People who are Alpa means small. Alpa Medasa means intelligence. Who are less intelligent. They worship the gods. And for what? For things they're really dumb. They worship the gods who can't give anything unless I give the power. And they worship them for things. And they're not even a thing. So it won't do anything for you if you have things. so you know, these are the teachings, and you know, you find a little way to share that with people, and kirtaneers, I would think, you know, it's just insightful, and it's very beautiful, and you speak simply and straightforwardly from the sacred texts like this. It has power. And people in the world, they're interested in kirtan, they want to know about kirtan, and they don't know much about it. And many would say that they lack, you know, some of the philosophy that goes with it, and they would like it. So why not give it to them instead of, you know, they like the name Bird Durga, so we're going to chant that here. You know, what's the point of that? If you're a Vishnu bhakta, then you know, you stand up for it and say, you know, this is what we do. We do in Krishna Kirtan. This is why, and it's needs to be discussed, and it's very charming actually, and very interesting. So why not? You want to help them? Help them. This is a way to help them, right? Otherwise, you know, you want to pander to them and to their well, Namaparad, Ganesh, Shiva, Krishna, Buddha. It's all same, right? why introduce, such nam opera to the public? I'm not. I think some people do that, and they inadvertently don't realize it. But that's what um, Vishnu Bhaktas. Everybody else stands up for their path. I would imagine. Yes, sir.
Along those same lines, there's a woman that sings on my Pandora radio. And I looked up, she sings a lot about Waheguru, so I looked that up and found out that she was a Sikh. But she also sings the Maha Mantra and the names of God, Banki Bihari and Madan Mohan and different bhajans. Do the Sikhs actually worship Krishna like we do, or is she just trying to sell records?
No, the Sikhs worship Krishna and Ram. And their Guru Grantha is their main book. The name Ram and Krishna are throughout. Satnam is their emphasis. You see, Guru Nanak found the Sikh tradition. Guru Nanak was a contemporary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. At the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there were a number of contemporaries who were advocating the chanting of the name of God as a way of immediate, direct, unmediated communication with God. The dominant religious idea was that if you wanted to have a unmediated experience with God, direct experience of God, you have to be born in a Brahmin family, and then in that life take sannyas. And by taking sannyas in the Gyan Margs, the Shankar idea, then you could have an unmediated experience in meditation as a sannyasi. And it distanced then the possibility of the people in general of having an unmediated experience of God by lifetimes, perhaps. And so there was a kind of a bhakti, kind of a revolution of sorts, and various people were players in that. And Kabir, Guru Nanak, Tukram, Nasi met these people. They were either starting traditions, like Guru Nanak was starting a tradition of sorts that was kind of a blend of Muslim and Hindu sensibilities to transcend the fighting and so forth, and the differences, and he emphasized the Satnam. So there were a number of these people. Now most of them, like Guru Nanak, were advocating what we would call a Saguna Nam. So they would see that the name was a Brahman. So they're kind of like taking from Shankar's idea a little bit. This is a Saguna form of Brahman in the form of the name in Satvaguna, and by chanting it, you could go beyond it and enter into into Brahman. But Mahaprabhu, some others like Tukram, they advocated a near Gunanam, that the name itself is beyond the material gunas. It's not different from God, and God exists beyond the gunas in mukti. There is the form of God, there is Leela, and so on and so forth, not just undifferentiated Brahman. So there's some differences. So I'm not really entirely well versed in the Sikh Dharma, but I am pretty sure that their idea of liberation is more akin to Sayuja Mukti, but they have a bhakti approach to Sayuja Mukti, which would be efficacious, and it very much involves chanting the name. So it is. Now, when she gets into Banki Bihari and so forth, she's getting that all from the Gaudiya people. No harm. But in a Guru Granth, the names of Ram and Krishna are mentioned again and again on almost every page, and the advocacy of the name, and the efficacy of the name, and so forth. So he was one of the people, and I met once with one of her guru, I mean, any of these Sikhs that you see around, Westerners, were all disciples of what's his name?
Ramdas.
Not Ramdas,
Yeah.
no.
Yogi Bhajan.
Yogi Bhajan.
Mhm.
Sikhs, yeah. I had the occasion to meet with him once, and he had a pundit used to travel with him. So he saw I liked that, philosophy. So he had us sit together and, while waiting for dinner and chat. So we had a long discussion. And he said there was a reference in the Sikh literature of Guru Nanak meeting with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Jagannath Puri.
Wow.
I didn't get the details from him at the time, but yeah. I mean, I think that that said, those Sikh practitioners that do kirtan of Krishna Nam and so forth would find this developed idea of the theology of the Nam and so forth to be interesting and attractive.
So it would be bona fide to listen to them. I mean, they're sincere devotees.
They're sincere. They may be having a like I say, a saguna notion of the Nam. So they're doing, it would be a form of gunabhuti bhakti. In other words, they're they're engaged in a form of bhakti where bhakti empowers the sattva guna to give it power to do more than it can on its own, to give it the power to afford sahaja mukti. So, yeah, that's what they're doing. I mean, but I mean, you can hear ordinary music and draw Krishna consciousness out of it. So, I suppose you could hear other people do kirtan and draw Krishna consciousness out of it too.
There's a whole
you wanted
genre
to.
out there, Pandora, Rhapsody, Kirtan.
yeah.
I mean, Krishna Das is huge. I mean,
But if
every
you're
yoga
hearing
studio in the world is
kirtan
doing
from
it.
those
That's-
whose-
That's why it's good to preach what that's.
So is there value in that though?
Well, it's I always used to think that if in the future if Krishna consciousness was spread, there'd be a lot of preaching to do in America, because there'd be all kind of misrepresentations, partial representations of it, and so on and so forth. So I guess it's good, better than get to preach on a higher level and just tell people don't eat meat. You have to get into it a little more deeply. So it's to be expected.
So it doesn't affect your like my consciousness to hear somebody chanting
Could.
whose goal is
I would listen to it.
Yeah.
I would listen to chanting of devotees.
right.
All right.
I have a follow-up question
Oh,
on the Ajamil story. Now, if Ajamil had chanted like "Get me to the Ramada Inn" or something, that vibration isn't the same as saying the name intentionally. The name, so would that vibration have developed the same result?
It's possible. That's the theory. It's possible, but I mean, again, that's the teaching is. That's not what you're supposed to take from it. Like, okay, I'm okay. I'll just keep the sign Ramada in my pocket. Pull it out at the time of need, and I'll be all right. It's not gonna. The name, the name's alive, so he's not gonna do. He can do that. Is the point? If he can do that if he wants. But in a calculated way, if we make a plan like that, then it's not gonna happen. All right. See, Harinam Prabhu ki jai.
Jai.
Bhoj Prem.